Honestly, if anyone had told me this story before, I'd have said it was made up. Like who kicks out their only daughter because of pregnancy, But I saw it with my own eyes. The day Chief Okiki threw Ephuna out of the house, it felt like thunder cracked across the whole village of Uzoma. That morning, everything was fine. The birds were singing. Mama Ephuna was boiling yam by the kitchen fire, and Ephuna herself was humming like she always did. But by sunset, that same chief that used to call her joy of my old age was yelling and pointing at the gate like she was a thief. Me, I was standing by the gate, holding my wrapper tight because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My legs were shaking. I wasn't the only one. Even Mr. Andrew, that man we all used to call America Retani, tried to calm Chief down. Mama Ephuna was crying like someone whose child just died. But Chief Okiki didn't hear anybody. His eyes were red. His lips were dry. And before we knew it, he had already thrown out her clothes and slammed the door shut. Just like that. Let me tell you something, before this madness happened, Ephuna was the golden child of Uzoma. The elders used to say her smile could calm a storm. When she greeted them, they would be beaming like children who just got fresh mangoes. You needed to see her walk through the village, always respectful, always helping people. The kind of girl other mothers used to use as comparison. See Ephuna, have you ever seen her chasing boys? Learn from her. But you know how life can be sometimes, twisted. That's why when she started looking weak and tired, people started whispering. Maybe malaria, they said at first. But then she started throwing up every morning. Mama Ephuna got worried, took her to the local physician, and boom. The news dropped like rain on dry earth. She was 6 weeks pregnant. Pregnant. For who? Even she didn't say. She kept quiet. Lips sealed. And that silence cost her everything. Even the chief, her own father, didn't wait to ask again. The man snapped like a broomstick. You're no longer my daughter, he said. That was the day Uzoma lost its light. You know that kind of silence that screams louder than thunder? That's the kind that followed Ephuna's footsteps as she walked out of her father's compound. No one said a word. Not even the elders she used to greet with her sweet, "Good morning, sir." They all stood like carved stones. Me, I stood there crying silently. I couldn't even run to hug her because fear had already paralyzed my legs. Chief Okiki meant business. Mama Ephuna tried to hold her back, tried to beg the man again, but he just turned his face to the wall like she didn't exist. And Ephuna, oh my God, she didn't argue. She didn't even shout. She just picked up the nylon bag her mother had packed with trembling hands, one wrapper, 2 blouses, and some leftover yam porridge. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and when she walked past the gate, it was like watching the sunrise leave and never return. The village swallowed her shadow, and no one followed. No one. That's the thing about being a girl in our place. One mistake, just one, and you go from treasure to taboo. And Ephuna. She made one mistake, and suddenly everyone acted like they never knew her. Nobody asked her how it happened. Nobody asked if it was her choice. Just one question from the village physician and boom, judgment. What pained me the most was how the same mouth that once praised her now called her wayward like it was her middle name. One woman even said, "I'm glad my daughter didn't sit too close to her in church, God forbid bad influence." Like say pregnancy no disease. Ephuna was just 17. A child carrying a child. Her silence should have been enough for anyone to know something deeper was going on. But nobody listened. Not even her father, who used to brag, "My daughter will be a doctor someday." Well, now that doctor was walking barefoot into a world that didn't care if she lived or died. She didn't even know where she was going. That's the crazy part. No plan, no phone, no idea, just walking. And let me tell you, the world outside Uzoma is not friendly. The roads are long, the people are fast, and nobody cares about a crying girl with a baby in her belly. By the time she reached the next town, it was already nightfall. Her feet were blistered, and her stomach growled so loud, even a stray dog barked at her like she was invading its space. She saw a small store that had closed for the day and sat in front of it like a beggar. She brought out the yam porridge her mother had packed, but it had gone sour. Still, she forced it down her throat with shaking fingers. That was the first time she felt true loneliness. It wasn't just that she was alone, it was that nobody in the world knew where she was. Nobody cared. The next morning, Ephuna woke up surrounded by strangers staring down at her like she was a lost goat. The way they looked at her, you'd think she stole something. Dirty hair, rumpled wrapper, swollen belly, of course she didn't look like someone anyone wanted to help. But among the crowd was one woman, just one, who didn't look at her like she was filth. Mama Udu. That's the name she gave. She looked at Ephuna with something close to pity and said, "You look hungry. Come with me. I take care of you." Now, if it were me, I'd be suspicious. But when you're desperate, even a snake offering comfort sounds like a lullaby. Ephuna didn't have a choice. She followed Mama Udu to her house, a tiny cracked building, 2 rooms, nothing fancy. But to her, it felt like heaven. A place to rest. A place to breathe. She thought she had found safety. She didn't know she had just walked into the lion's den. At first, Mama Udu was sweet. I won't even lie. She bathed Ephuna's feet with warm water, gave her wrappers to wear, even rubbed shea butter on her swollen legs at night. And Ephuna. She started smiling again. She'd sit by the window, rubbing her belly and humming soft songs. Mama Udu would say things like, "You're like a daughter to me. I never had a child of my own." Lies. All of it. But Ephuna didn't know yet. When her water broke on a rainy night, it was Mama Udu who helped her push. "You're stronger than you think," she had said. And when the baby finally cried, a little girl with tiny fingers and a loud voice, it felt like light filled the house. "Adora," Ephuna whispered. "I'll call you Adora. My joy." That night, Ephuna thought her story had finally turned around. She thought she had peace. But peace was a mask, and behind it was something darker. Because just 1 month later, in the middle of the night, Ephuna heard voices. Low whispers. She thought she was dreaming, but the words were too clear to ignore. She has no family, no one is looking for her. It was Mama Udu's voice. Ephuna tiptoed to the wooden door and placed her ear against it. Her heart was pounding. Then a man's voice responded, 500,000 is all I can offer. Ephuna's knees gave way. She almost collapsed. They were talking about her baby. Mama Udu was trying to sell Adora. Imagine. The same woman who had helped her give birth. The same woman who called her daughter. She peeped through a crack in the door and saw Mama Udu and one fat, rich man counting money. The air left her lungs. Her hands trembled. She ran back to her baby and lay beside her like she was protecting a jewel. "No one will take you from me," she whispered. No one. When the sun began to rise, Ephuna was already gone. She didn't even wait for the rooster to crow. She tied Adora on her back, wrapped herself in a borrowed wrapper, and ran. Her feet bled, but she didn't stop. She just kept walking. Every time a car passed, she would duck behind trees, thinking Mama Udu had sent people after her. And honestly, I don't blame her. She had just escaped being sold like firewood. The trust she had left in the world was now hanging by a thread. By the time she reached the next big town, she was already drained. Her lips were cracked. Her breast ached. Adora was crying from hunger. She sat by the roadside like a beggar and begged passers-by for water. But people ignored her like she was invisible. One woman hissed and said, "You young girls, go and close your legs." That thing pained Ephuna deeply. But what could she do? Then a man stopped beside her. He looked clean, white shirt, neat shoes, sweet smile. "You shouldn't be sitting under this hot sun with a baby," he said gently. Ephuna looked at him with tired eyes, unsure. "Come with me," the man said. "I have a house. You'll be safe. You can rest." And as usual, Ephuna hesitated. She remembered Mama Udo. She remembered how kindness could be a trap. But she was tired, hungry, and something about the man's face felt trustworthy. His name was Anthony. He took her to a small but neat apartment. There was food, clean water, baby wrappers. Ephuna cried as she bathed and finally slept with Adora in her arms. She thought she had found a helper again. She thanked him, even knelt down and blessed him. But deep inside her, a small voice whispered, "Be careful." And that voice was right.